Your character sheet has all kinds of useful information, but sometimes it's not enough. And in fact, it could even be holding you back. I want to talk about it today on Greyhawk Grognard. Just a reminder, this is a collaboration between myself, Joe the Lawyer, and Eric Tankar of Tankar's Tavern. If you're watching my video on one of their channels, please do like and subscribe to me. And if you're watching one of theirs on mine, please do the same for them. Now, on with the show. The humble character sheet. This is the staple of every player, at least when we were playing first edition. This was what they looked like. These goldenrod sheets are famous, and rightly so. But the character sheet is a staple of every edition of D&D, and it doesn't need to be a fancy pre-printed one like this. It could just be a sheet of note paper. You put down your ability scores. You've got your name, your class, your race, your hit points, your weapons, your special abilities, your spells, your equipment, how much gold you have, how much experience you have, and you're ready to go. But when you're in the soup, when you're actually playing the game, all this stuff is helpful, but it's not enough, because there's one thing that is not on this character sheet that you just can't play without, and that is your imagination. It is all well and good if you're in a situation in the game and something's going on. You quickly scan your character sheet. Do I have any special abilities? Do I have any equipment? Do I have any spells that I could use? But don't be limited by that, right? That's great, but it only takes you so far. And there's going to be some instances where this could actually hold you back, where a better alternative could exist that you could just be creative and discover on your own. So, for example, I see this at convention games all the time. Players are in my Castle Mad Archmage. They're going, they're exploring through the dungeons. They come across some trap that's in the dungeon. They quickly look at their character sheets, and there's nothing that's immediately to hand. So they're like, "What the heck do we do? Do we go back? But instead, what they could do is look beyond the character sheet and think, okay, what would I do if I was in this situation? What's around me? Are there any loose stones that I could use to throw and trigger the trap so I could pass safely? Was there anything that we encountered a couple rounds ago that I could maybe drive into here and have it set off the trap so that we can get past once it's gone? There's all kinds of things that you could think of that are not on your character sheet. And this is something that I've talked about before, is the idea of like perception checks and persuasion checks and stuff. Yeah, that's all well and good for, if you're in that, if you're playing that kind of game, if you're playing those kinds of rules. Later editions allow you to do that. But back in the day, we had to actually explain what we were going to do. We couldn't just say, I'm going to make a perception check. We could say, okay, I'm going to look around the room. I'm going to look in the ceiling. I'm going to pay special attention to the corners and the shadows. I'm going to poke with my 10-foot pole. Are there any loose flagstones? That sort of thing. If you're trying to persuade an NPC or a monster to do something or to say something, then you would actually have to do it. You could actually say it in character, preferably in a funny voice, or you could just describe what your character is saying to the NPC. So you can say, my character is going to try to persuade the guard at the gate of the city that we are actually working for the Lord Mayor, and we have a special pass, but it was destroyed when we were fleeing the bandits. So you could try to make that persuasion to get yourself into the city, rather than just rolling a perception check, which is, if the rules allow you to do that, that's all well and good. I think the game's more fun, even if you do roll a perception check. You just want to take that extra minute or 30 seconds and describe what you're doing, and then make the roll. And I think it adds a little something. But if you just say, I'm going to make a persuasion check and try to get us into the city, yeah, that's not much. There's not much fun there. If you do it the other way and then you roll, it livens things up a lot. Little things like that. But the real idea is, while yes, your character sheet is really important, and there's a lot of great stuff in there, and you can use in a lot of situations like combat and all kinds of different things, especially your equipment list. Don't forget your equipment list. You should have all kinds of things in there, like 10-foot poles and iron spikes and marbles and chalk and things like that. That will come in really, really handy when you're doing stuff, thinking outside the box. Probably do a video on that at some point. But just completely go off sheet and think. Put yourself in the situation. Okay, I am my elven thief magic user. What am I going to do? What was around me? What is in front of me? Ask the DM. There's nothing wrong with asking the DM for more information, more detail, because those details maybe you could parlay into something that you could use to get yourself out of the situation or to advance yourself or whatever you need to do. So anyway, there it is. It's a quick one today, but a really important lesson. Your character sheet's important, but your imagination is more important, and you can fuel that by asking the DM what's going on, explain the situation exactly, ask for some more details, and then see if you can use some of those details and use your imagination to think outside the box and do something completely unexpected. And that is usually what the DM wants you to do because they think it's just as fun as you do. So anyway, hope you like this one. If you do, I would ask you to please visit my online store where I've got tons and tons of books and adventures and stuff that you could try out. There's the Castle Mad Archmage, there's Adventures Dark and Deep, and there's the Greyheim Adventures. I will put a link to the store up here somewhere if I can. And hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later.